What's up, everybody? It's DisThunder from the Fwoosh, and my plan for today is to do a quick overview of the 112 Collective Bishop figure from Mezco Toys. And I say quick because most of you guys probably already have this figure in your hands if you were thinking about buying it. But I still want to talk about it with you because I am very impressed with it. We'll start with some quick comparison shots here because this Bishop is a completely new body. Well, maybe not completely, but mostly. Maybe those arms are similar to Death Dealer's, but I don't think so. This Wolverine isn't a custom suit, but it is still consistent with the factory size, in case you were wondering. But I am a big fan of this new base body. He has a lot of heft to him, good muscle definition, and a lot of height. Here we are with Blade, and as you probably know, I love the base body that Blade uses, but I find myself kind of now wishing I had a little more swole version of Blade on this body. I feel like the natural companion piece for this figure in terms of style and continuity, if you follow the animated series logic, would obviously be Cable. I think we've discussed the height with Cable in the past. The standard one has the boots that make him stand a little taller than the PX version, but even so, Bishop is still, at least in scale, probably a couple inches taller. Like, he's probably more like 6'5" to, say, Cable's 6'2" or 6'3". I don't have a problem with that personally. Bishop has always been drawn as being a very big dude, but I don't think that matches up with the Marvel Handbook, if that's your thing. So in kind of a rare move for Mezco, Bishop is a pretty accurate representation of his appearance in the Bishop the Last X-Men miniseries from, I believe, 1999. And before I go over that look in more detail, let's go over some accessories. The largest being this plasma rifle he comes with, which has a removable magazine. You have 3 of these magazines total, 2 store on the back of the belt. And that taps and racks into that magazine port pretty securely, like that. I think Cable's weapons are my favorite, but this has a good look to it. I do wish it had kind of an adjustable stock or something to get it better in that single grip when he's holding it. He has a thigh drop holster that holds this more pistol-sized blaster. This feels more consistent with what he's usually armed with in the comics. There are those 2 extra magazines on the back of the belt there. The rifle will store in that back clip like so. It actually stays pretty well once you get it in the right place. You can see he has a couple of trackers and like a removable communicator or tracker, and then there are 2 of these plasma grenades on the left side of the belt that are obviously removable. You get 3 of those as well. I'll give you a little more detail here. Also on his left side, he has a sheath with a machete, and this is lifted right out of that last X-Men comic. Nice little curve to that blade. In the book, Bishop is flung to the future and has to kind of make do with what he can find as far as like a suit and armor go. Mezco's done a nice job of realizing that in kind of a more uniform fashion with this piece here, where you have the elastic on the shoulders and then a segmented piece in the abs. The boots take a little bit more style liberty, but I think they remind me of Cable's, so they feel appropriately dystopian and futuristic. They're a little bit of a step back in ankle pivot compared to the more recent releases we've had, but the way his belt and his web gear look is excellent. As for articulation, be careful the first time you crank these guys out, these shoulder joints. Mine are fine, but I have seen some trouble. But once you get them broken in, there's a nice double jointed elbow bend with a good range, and obviously rotation thanks to those shoulder pads is really good. Mid-torso joint gets a little bit of movement here and there. Like I said, it's segmented, so it doesn't affect like just twist or rotation. Ball jointed hip and a double jointed knee like you would anticipate, and all that works pretty swell. You have the standard Mezco ball jointed neck to allow for interchangeability. It allows for a little bit of up and down and a little bit of tilt. The lower neck joint is sunk into that armor a bit, so it's not super expressive. These 2 heads are the most evocative of the last X-Men comic, obviously, where he has the longer hair with the dreadlocks. And I really like both these heads. I think he has a kind of nice mix of realistic and comic style. But you also get the more modern bald head, and I'll be damned if I don't really like that as well. About the only thing I could ask for would be one with a mullet for his original 90s look. And, maybe an angry one for the bald head as well, if we're getting, super needy. Bishop's powers are kind of hard to realize in 3D form, but we do get a couple of good accessories that allow for that, like these kind of bubbling plasma effects. This one fits into a trigger holding hand pretty well. And like most effects this style, you put a little bit of dynamic lighting on it, they actually glow pretty well. There's also more like an energy blasting effect that fits over a fist. I think it fits best on the left fist, but it'll work on either one. And then you have a posable scarf / cape that kind of mimics the look of Bishop on that cover of issue number 1. I don't know, it seems like a lot of people don't like the cape, but I feel like if you use it more like a poncho, I think it has a nice look to it and it's a good silhouette. So when I first got my Bishop, he was actually missing some pieces, but Mezco was kind enough to send enough replacement parts that I had enough left over to make an entire second Bishop figure. This one has kind of a more combination, like neoclassic uniform look, and that goes well with my kind of standing X-Men team in my toy display. That being said, if we were to get an XSE uniform Bishop mullet with mullet, I'd gladly take one. I have to be honest though, if this is the only 112 Bishop we ever get, it's hard not to be satisfied with this figure. I feel like this is a really good look, and he's just a damn good figure. It's a shame there were some quality hiccups, it seems like, on maybe 20-30% of them, which is, you know, really that's too many, but Mezco is pretty awesome about taking care of that stuff. So if you haven't reached out to them already, definitely do so before they run out of parts to help you. And if you were still for some reason on the fence about this guy, I feel like he is going to go down as one of the bigger sleepers in the 112 X-Men collection. Let's just hope he's also the harbinger of more X-Men to come, because he kind of rejuvenated my enjoyment of the figures that we've already got in this little 112 subset. So with that, as always, thank you to Mezco Toys, especially thanks for helping out with the few missing bits that mine had. Thank you to you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.